Russia has rejected calls to demilitarize the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine, despite warnings from the United Nations about the potential for a nuclear disaster. Both Russia and Ukraine accuse each other of shelling what is Europe's largest nuclear power plant. We can bring in Robert Kelly now, a former director of the International Atomic Energy Agency and now a distinguished fellow at the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. Robert, great to have you with us. We've just been hearing there about the fact that Russia has rejected calls to demilitarize the zone around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. How concerned should we be?
I think it's wrong that Russia is using the site, as we are told they're using the site, as a protected place for shooting outbound artillery and missiles. If that's really true, which I'm not sure has been proven, then that is wrong, and they should stop doing that. On the other hand, I think most of the damages likely to occur there is probably sabotage by the Ukrainians to make the plant unusable for generating electricity.
Now, I'm not a nuclear expert, but what we are hearing is that 3 of the 4 supply lines have been damaged. You were just talking about that. So I guess my question would be, if there was a complete loss of power supply to the nuclear power plant, which is something that, you know, the Ukrainian teams have been warning about, there's this concern that we could see nuclear fuel melting. That sounds really alarming, but again, I'm not a nuclear expert. How worried should we be?
It sounds very alarming, except it's nonsense. The supply of electricity to keep the plant cold and keep the pumps running is coming from somewhere. We're not quite sure. It could be a smaller plant in the town. We have really good evidence that this electricity hasn't been interrupted because we're getting all kinds of information out of the site, and there's no indication that the lights have gone out in the town of 50,000 people next to the plant. Certainly, if there's electricity to keep the lights on there, there's electricity to keep the pumps running at the nuclear plant. So this is hysteria. We're being fed hysteria that is not real. I think the international community needs to get some genuine information coming out of the site, and then they need to recognize what the problem there really is. It's a $40 billion investment that the Russians captured in the first 3 weeks of the war. You notice that they rushed in there, and it's not in Donetsk. And both sides want this $40 billion investment to use to make electricity for themselves.